first question, who are the 2011s for? Like, what type of person should be shooting a 2011? And I guess if we understand that, who is a 2011 not for? Like, who should even be looking at this, not looking at this? Like, that's what I'm so curious about.
So, I mean, reality is anybody, like a 2011 could be for anybody, right?
Okay.
First off, you got to evaluate if it's within your price range, right? I mean, if it's a gun that you're willing to put the money up for, and you're willing to, you know, they're not the same price as a Glock, right? So, like, I guess if you're who it's for, who it's not for, I mean, it's hard to say. Like, the first thing you got to ask is, like, what's your application going to be? Like, are you trying to daily carry this puppy? Are you trying to shoot it for fun? Like, how much money are you willing to invest for fun?
Okay, so okay. There's a lot wrapped up in there. So let's take it piece by piece.
Okay.
All right. So to me, if I look at the money,
right,
you can't ever say, I mean, this gun over here is like, oh, it's worth it. So I mean, pistol, rifle, any gun, like, I have rifles that are fun to shoot and accomplish the purpose of going and shooting a rifle for, I don't know, $1,200.
Mm-hmm.
I have rifles that are way more than that. I have pistols I can shoot that I paid $600 for, and I will go have fun shooting, right? But then I have staccatos that I paid a lot more for. And I think in that sense, no one can look at that and be like, oh, it's like worth the money. It's basically like, no, I mean, how much does that money mean to you? And do you want to have one of these things? It's just a completely arbitrary thing on your side as far as the money thing, as far as I'm concerned. Because, like, if you start making, oh, it's like a dollars and cents thing, these never make sense. If it's just about the money, these never make sense.
I agree. Like, what's funny is, like, I had a question the other day. Or I had a shooter, actually, a competitive shooter, come up to me, and he's just like, "Hey man, I can't get my splits down, so I need to buy a 2011." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Like, what gun are you currently shooting? Not that has anything to do with it." And he's like, "Oh, I'm outrunning my shadow. I'm outrunning my shadow too." And I was like, "Interesting." So I'm going to tell you right now. I said, if you go and buy a 2011, I was like, great, man. Fantastic. But I'm going to tell you what, I can assure you it is that the gun is not the problem. So, I mean, maybe some people think the 2011s are going to solve all their issues. I mean, reality is, you know, that's going to depend on the shooter. Some people artificially think that that's going to inflate their ability to shoot. Yes, you and I both agree that these guns definitely make the shooting process easier. But, like, if you're comparing it to some of these other guns out there, like the Shadow 2 is, if someone can't get sub-second 20 splits with the Shadow 2, like, I don't think another gun is, 2011 is going to really help that situation.
Right. Okay, now let's get it. Like, maybe this is a little contentious. You've seen the comments. You've seen, I would say, the abuse that I've been subjected to, talking about the ownership experience for a 2011 like the Staccato XC. Now, when I say ownership experience, like, what can I expect? So, if like for example, let's talk about my Miata.
Okay.
All right. I think as an owner of that car, I can buy that thing, drive it around a little bit, just drive it around town, you know, change the oil at the recommended intervals. And if I don't, like, wail on it or whatever, I expect in 10 years time, after whatever, 50,000 miles, let's say it's relatively low mileage, I'm not going to have issues with the car. It's going to be fine. It's a Mazda. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. So I see a lot of opinions about the ownership experience of this car. I've seen guys in the comments telling me, "Oh, you need to become an armorer, or even, hey, you need a CNC machine to have, like, make parts for that." Which, I mean, I think it was kind of crazy. Other guys might say, "Hey, no, the 2011s, they're good to go. Like, you don't even have to clean them, just add oil." You know, what is the truth as far as an ownership experience? Like, if I'm going to get a pistol like this, and let's say I want to shoot 20,000 rounds a year, it's going to be like my hobby, right? I'm doing USPSA. I'm doing practice for USPSA. What kind of experience should I expect with this? So, not just a Staccato, but a pistol like this.
So like a 2011. So in general, you should be able to expect a good experience. Like these guns, like especially, I mean, you're paying a little bit more for these puppies, right? But reality is, if you perform just normal maintenance, and I say normal maintenance, like not like you don't have to do all this special stuff.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. This is
right.
YouTube, buddy.
Okay.
Normal maintenance might be guys saying you got to change that. I've seen comment you change the recoil spring every 2,000 rounds.
Oh gosh.
I've seen that. You got to be real specific when you say normal maintenance, because what does that mean?
You're right. Because I like technically, like I've seen people say that you have to exchange the extractor every 5,000 rounds, or there's an expected life expectancy on ejector or something along those lines. So yes, let me dumb it down. So as far as routine maintenance goes, I'm referring to literally just doing a basic field strip of the gun, keeping it well oiled, taking a Q-tip to the thing, take the barrel off, wipe it down really well, apply oil back, and making sure that like it's not just wicked filthy. All right.
Right.
Like
right.
I don't know how much more basic you can get. Like I'm not even saying like you don't even need to swab the barrel. Don't even have to do any of that stuff. My expectation is to like just wipe it down and keep it oiled very, very well. And like I expect the gun to run. I don't think I need to do a ton more to it.
Okay, so to you, like, okay, this is how I treat my guns that I'm training with. If this thing, if the slide reciprocates, I'm like, oh, okay, like it's reciprocating nicely. I can see it's wet. It's probably good. Every so often, a couple thousand rounds, take the slide off. You look at it. Is there crud accumulating? Like what's going on? Wipe the crud off of the frame, wipe it out of the slide rails, lubricate it, continue shooting. Is that what you mean? Normal maintenance?
Yes. And yes, to a certain degree. Now, obviously 2011s are one thing that you would kind of come to find out with the 2011 is some of these guns are hand fit and they are very, very, very tight. And when I say tight, like the slide to frame fit is the tolerances are pretty high. So like with that being said, sometimes it takes a little bit more for these guns when they first come off the showroom floor it takes a minute to kind of break them in to feel like how I like to have a gun feel. Like usually it takes me about 1,000 rounds to 2,000 rounds for the gun to really feel like it's without any hiccups, to feel like it's set up like to my liking.
Like the slides reciprocating really like cleanly and that kind of thing.
Correct. And so with that being said, like you might have to clean it a little bit more often in the beginning of ownership for a 2011 versus like, let's say a Glock where you can just buy it, throw some oil on it and run. And it doesn't change the feeling from start to finish. After about 1,000 rounds through a 2011, I always find that it starts to like feel the exact same from then on out every single time. Like I said, because like the tolerances tend to be a little bit tighter on these guns when they first come out. So like there is going to be a slight, like they should run, right? But it doesn't mean you should be able to take this thing. Like something very common I see from new 2011 owners is they'll go buy these things from like a shop, right? And they'll take it straight from the shop to the range, run the gun, and then they'll be like, oh man, I ran 200, 300, 400 rounds through the thing. And it started hanging up. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, did you oil it? They're like, well, no, I just bought it. I shouldn't have had to oil it. I'm like, okay, well, this is like something you should have checked right off the bat, right? So like reality is like the expectation is if you do just the basic stuff, keep it wet, start running it that way. I don't really see extra stuff you have to add to the equation.